It's a cold Christmas day, every house locked away, not a peep at the windows or doors. And here in this town, not a soul to be found, 'cause the world's feeling broken and sore. There's a church down the road where the vicar sits alone, no sermon nor message to spread. 'Cause it's been a tough year, but I have something here with a message that might bring some cheer.
The Curious Tale of Millie Mistletoe. To whomsoever is reading this, I imagine this book will have found its way to you in a time of great need. May it bring you comfort and great cheer. Yours sincerely, S.C. S.C.? Who could that be? The Curious Tale of Millie Mistletoe. It began as a whisper, a rumour on the air.
Christmas is coming! Christmas is coming! Christmas will soon be here!
I said it began as a whisper.
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas will soon be here.
It was just a whisper, a rumour, a flutter of fallen leaves. Is it really any surprise that Millie couldn't quite hear the song? Though, would she have heard it if it had been a roar? Millie Mistletoe was not a happy woman. She had been just a few months before. Just a few months before, she'd been full of plans, full of hopes, full of dreams. She was going places, travel, parties, fun. But now, oh now, she felt so lost and tired. Like everyone, she felt so far from home. And she knew who was to blame. Everyone knew who was to blame. Angelica Crackfrost.
Queen of Ice, Mother of Frost, Princess of Shivers.
Some thought her a ghost, a myth, a tale to scare children. But Millie knew different. Ever since she'd been little, Millie had kept an eye out for Angelica's works. Every time misery threatened to overwhelm, every time plans failed, every time bad news dropped, it was Angelica Cragfrost to blame. It was Angelica Cragfrost's fault that everyone was iced up and frozen and locked down. Poor Millie Mistletoe. She'd been trapped so far from home for so long, she could barely remember who she was. Was it any wonder she could not hear the words on the breeze?
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas will soon be here.
Still, something stirred in Millie's frozen heart. An idea. A way out of the horror and the pain. She would track down Angelica Cragfrost.
Queen of Ice, Mother of Frost, Princess of Shivers,
and stop her icy ways once and for all. But where to start? So she searched high and she searched low. She searched her cupboards and behind the sofa. She searched the park and underneath her car. Nothing. Nada. Diddly squat. She travelled north, but all she found was ice and frost. She travelled to the deep south, and all there was ice. She searched west, and still the chant getting louder.
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas will soon be here.
But still the song got louder. No one paid heed to her. They ignored her questions. They kept their distance. They hurried in and out of shops. They waited on doorsteps for deliveries to soothe their broken hearts. They simply didn't see her. They just didn't care. Till one day she thought at last. She saw two men arguing on the streets. "Have you seen her?" she said. "Have you seen Angelica Cragfrost?"
Queen of Ice.
"We know,"
Have I seen Angelica Cragfrost? No, I can't see a thing.
said the first man.
That's why I need to get to Barnard Castle, you see, for my eye test. Help me. Am I at Barnard Castle yet?
"And you?" said Millie to the other man.
Me?
Said the man in the parka.
Why should I care for Angelica Cragfrost? I'm Andy, King of the North.
And so she left the two mad men on the road and searched on and on, till the nights grew long and the song on the breeze grew so strong, even Millie could hear it loud and clear.
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas is nearly here.
But in her heart, Millie Mistletoe was so sad and frozen that she couldn't even begin to understand what that meant. All she knew was that till she found Angelica Cragfrost, her cold and frozen life would not change. And then it came to her. Oh, what a fool Millie had been. She'd searched north and she'd searched south. She'd searched under the bed. She'd searched those boxes in the attic and in the garage she'd been planning to sort through for 10 years. She'd even searched the drawer where she kept her workout clothes she'd rashly bought in the spring as she tried to keep up with Joe Wicks. She'd searched west. But she still hadn't searched east. East, east, east she travelled across frozen lands, deserted markets and silent towns. East, east she travelled on and saw again and again all that Angelica Cragfrost had done. Where there should have been joyous, happy faces, there were none. And still, on the breeze, the song.
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas is nearly here.
But how could Millie Mistletoe believe when all was frozen, quiet and dark? East, east, till she arrived in a holy land and a holy place, a place Millie had seen in 1,000 pictures and knew from 1,000 songs and stories, but had never, ever pictured like this. She walked through the holy town, birthplace of sovereigns and kings, and all was not calm, and all was not bright. The clock on the tower had stopped dead at 1 minute to midnight. There was quiet, the unearthly quiet of the frozen, the lost, and the scared. And there was a stable in this town, and they were all gathered there, all the characters you know and love, the shepherds and the angels, the wise men and women, and the cattle who loved to low, and the sheep who loved to baa. And there were others too, for as every primary school nativity will teach you, there were rats and cats and dogs and toucans and hippos and hamsters and tired old Teletubbies and Barney the dinosaurs from 20 years ago, and miscellaneous superheroes from both the DC and Marvel cinematic universes for the hip and the young. And then there was this year's topical walk-on part from the bloke who was voted out of the stable by the people of the Holy Land, but who refused to concede and leave and just sat in the corner sulking. And somewhere in this chaotic and not entirely plausible scene were the ones they were all there for. The Holy Family, full of simplicity and love. But something was wrong. Millie Mistletoe realized that something was terribly wrong. They were not fixed as one in an aspect of love, but frozen like statues. Even the child was frozen, sank into himself. Not one of the gathered host was able to raise the mighty song. Christmas is here. Christmas is here. Christmas has come. And out of the shadows, Millie saw her enemy and the enemy of all step forward. Angelica Cragfrost, Queen of Ice, Mother of Frosts, Princess of Shivers. On her face an icy smile of triumph. On her head a corona of icicles which proclaimed her victory. Angelica advanced to claim her new dominion, all too powerful for the remaining hope in Millie's heart. And Millie realized she could not win. She felt all her fears and doubts rise. She felt the ice in her veins. All the lost things and failed dreams, all the abandoned plans of the last year came to her at once. And she wondered, what is the point? But then she didn't feel alone. You see, here's the thing, friends. For Christmas to come among us, all it takes is one last gasp of hope, one final flicker of joy. All it takes is a heart that longs to meet the promise of love's new day. All it takes is a simple heart, bruised perhaps, but still open to the love of the child. And in the moment of her triumph, Angelica Cragfrost failed. Millie looked at the child, and the child looked back at her. For he had not been frozen after all, only sleeping, only waiting for a heart like Millie's, open to the power of love. Angelica tried to freeze up Millie's last ounce of hope, but she couldn't hurt Millie anymore, because ice cannot reach a heart warmed by love. The clock on the tower chimed midnight, and bells began to ring, and Millie knew that today was Christmas Day, and she saw Angelica for what she was, not someone to be feared, but to be pitied. And Angelica became nothing. She began to melt away into snow. And the ice melted away from the stable scene, and Millie remembered an old thing as if for the first time. She was home. She would always be home, wherever she was, as long as she was with the child. And she saw that it had begun to snow, and the snow touched her warm and hopeful face. And the snow melted into her tears, and she was glad, for these were not tears of pain nor sorrow, but of comfort and joy.
Receive the King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.